How is everybody? Okay. Yes, so I'm doing this again. There's a reason for it. All right. Let me explain to you why I did it twice. Hey, William. I hope things are going well with you. Uh, Let me explain to you why I did that twice. Yesterday, when I checked, one of the feeds didn't start with the count in. It started like 20 seconds after the count in ended. And so it begins with me in a sentence. And I was like, huh. All right, so I'll just have a minute lead and then 30 instead of 30 seconds. Uh, we actually have a topic today, but I'm also, I don't know if you noticed, I'm also curbing my drinking. Um, and I never give up two things at once because you'll fail at both things. So curbing my drinking meant that I'd rather have coffee, and I'll give coffee up sometime in the spring. So I'm actually making coffee. Yeah. So give me a second to bring the coffee in here. All right. So here's the thing. Uh, let's remember why I stopped with the coffee. Right. I stopped with the coffee. I was being inundated by ants, so I'm on the lookout for ants. I do eat here, and it's by a window, so they were bound to find me. Uh, I just dropped a bomb on them, the literal bomb on them. Wiped the table down with it. Because what happens if you? This is a side story. If you crush an ant in a place on your table or something, the other ants find the pheromones of the dead ant, and then more of them will come to that location. And then you crunch more, and then before you know, you got all these little ant pheromones. So you wipe the table down. I don't know if you can get up, or you can get up with lemon juice, but then lemon juice attracts them. So what you do is you wipe over that place with like bug killer. Just spray up a little bit, take a paper towel, and just smear it across where they were walking, and they will walk through it and die. And I went from hundreds yesterday to hundreds the day before to I would say a let's say there were 300. I imagine ant numbers. 300 the day before. The next day was like 150. Now I'm messing with stragglers who are coming out of the hinterland looking for where I just had a sandwich. Um, so that was my first thing. My second thing was, remember why I gave up coffee? Remember that conversation? I'm always very open with information. It was making me phlegmy, like it's making me like my nose would just talking, just always had to clear my throat. The milk was making me phlegmy. Um, I watch a lot of westerns. Do we want to turn this down? I think we do want to turn it down. I watch a lot of westerns, and I was sitting there thinking, why don't I just uh, hold on, why don't I just hold on. Why don't I just have my coffee black, right? Like all those old and timey cowboy guys, or switch to decaf. First of all, who drinks decaf? Um, so I was like, maybe I'll try it, but the milk is going to be a problem. It made this thing home. I mean, I've had 3 cups of coffee today, uh, and was feeling a little phlegmy. So maybe that's the problem. Uh, do I want to give up coffee? I like coffee. How am I gonna? Here's the other thing. When I first quit smoking a gazillion years ago, I still liked smoking when I quit. Right? I didn't like, oh, I hate myself. I was like, this is fucking enjoyable. I gotta stop this. So after a number of years, right, more than a decade, uh, I quit. And then I went back to it, and then I was like, I like this too much. I gotta quit. And then I quit. It took me 2 times to quit when I was super focused on quitting, and I quit. And like I said in other podcasts, I can be around smokers, right? Cigars I don't mess with, but I can be around cigar smokers. I can be in the same room with people and never want a cigarette. The way I quit, uh, I didn't take myself out of the environment because I was a pool guy, I was a dart guy, I was a bar guy, and everybody smoked. This was back when you could smoke in the spot. Hello. Yeah, espressos. Who I once had this Spanish coffee that they have in Spain. It came in like a little cup, and it was like the strongest thing. And I was like, surely you put sugar in there. They're like, no, you drink it. What's wrong with you, you neophyte? I was like, man, it was so strong. My stomach instantly was like, you're not gonna be able to handle this every morning. But it's what you're used to, right? So, I mean, I think I'm gonna have to start taking my coffee. If I continue with coffee, I'm gonna have to start taking it without milk, or so little milk that it's irrelevant to have it. But man, back in the days when I started drinking, I had my first. My dad gave me my first cup of coffee. He would get up in the morning and shave, and me and my little brother would like watch him and farm around the house and be like, yeah. And I guess I was around about 10. It was Sunday morning. We were watching the cartoons and stuff. Not cartoons. Reading the Sunday Times, the cartoon, the paper at the dinner table, at the kitchen table. And I remembered several things about like the elders uh, doing this cool thing for younger people. I remember my first taste of beer and whiskey was when I had to be like 4 or 5, and like they will let you taste whiskey, like, ugh, I don't want that. Ugh. And when you like 10 and 12, people are like, oh, let's go sneak some alcohol. And you're like, oh, why would I do that? Right? Because people you love us, it wasn't a mystery. I've known people who got to like became alcoholics because their parents like, don't ever drink. And by the time they were able to sneak into the cabin, they were like 12 and 13. And they were like, well, this must be good, right? And then they ended up with like alcohol drinking, with like alcoholic issues by the time they were like 19 and 20, right? The first time I had a beer, they the same thing. Let me taste out of the can. I was like, oh, why even buy even? Ugh. And then when I was older, I was 10 and 12, they would sit there and have a Budweiser or an ale. And me and my brother would have a ginger ale and be able to hang out with my dad as they barbecue. It helps you feel part of the men of the tribe, right? Versus everything having to be a prohibition. Um, Everything but like sex and cursing, right? And that's supposed to be something that you learn by yourself. Your parents really don't. Well, ladies have a different relationship, but your parents really don't tell you much about it other than like, don't get caught out there, right? Be careful, kind of stuff. But yeah, the drinking. By the time I was like 15, I didn't really care about alcohol. I grew up around it. I remember having tasted, but I was like, yeah. And the only time I actually started drinking was because we were in high school and all the dudes were doing it. And we get together and all get a 40, and we'd field dress it, we used to call it, which is just wrapping in a paper. If you I should do it one day on stream. If you wrap a 40 ounce in a paper bag properly, it holds the temperature as well as mask it from cops. And it keeps it cold. It really does. And keeps your hands dry from the condensation. Wow, genius. And we all get 40s and talk smoke and listen to rap music with our big radios, you know. And I did it because, and then as I got into whiskey as I got older, when I was 30, and I was like, oh, I don't like vodka. But I was like, oh, good whiskey. Like all the tough guys in the movies, they think shots of whiskey. Then you go to the bar and people go, hey, man, you cool. We're having a beer. Let me get you a shot. And you're like, I don't like gin. I don't like, I guess whiskey. And then before you know it, you're a whiskey drinker. And that's the ebb and flow of how I got to be a drinker, right? Versus sneaking into my parents' liquor cabinet. That no one touched that liquor That liquor stayed. That must have been bad. It's been there so long. My parents had it when they were a young couple before they had kids. They had like a liquor cabinet. They used to throw parties with the hi-fi. And then the kids came along. By the time we were 15, it was just liquor in the cabinet. So we didn't even touch it on Thanksgiving or Christmas. My mother never really drank, and my father would drink at barbecues with the guys. But after that, he would never have a beer at the house. So yeah, my dad was definitely social. I never got into smoking because my dad smoked. Yeah, and see, yeah, exactly. And then there's that. It's the idea that also, if you see somebody doing something and you're just kind of like, ugh, as a young person, as you grow up, you're like, no, I don't want any part of that, right? So my parents didn't mystify alcohol. Oh, this is just because then I would have wanted it as a kid. Um, and like I came to it naturally, like my homies and my friends, I sort of age into early drinking like you're supposed to. But yeah, no one in my family smoked. And then I ended up smoking because no one smoked, right? And it was my way to rebel from them. But then, they were right. No one in the family smoked but me. As a teenager in New York, we brown back. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm from New York originally as well. So yeah, the field dress thing, and then you have to run the crease. Man, I'm gonna. You know what, man? I'm so tempted to. I don't have. Do I have anything? I'm half tempted to leave you guys here for 10 minutes and run to the local 7-Eleven and get one, right? But and then there's a collar to it too. So you bend that down and then you fold that over. So it's right under the beer cap. And then you put the beer cap in your pocket. And when the cops go, what you drinking, you go, know your business. So it's covered under the closed container law. So yeah, I remember that place. We used to in the summer, we used to go to this place that had like the coldest 40s, and they would sell them to like 16-year-olds. And that was the neighborhood spot. Never got busted, never got raided, nowhere never called the cops on it. You know, we get them, we walk them down to our hood, we sit on the porch, and then talk shit about what we were gonna be someday. Back when hip hop was young, you know. But that's it. And now I'm here complaining about coffee. Mm-mm, mm-mm. But yeah, man. You don't you okay. I lived in Cobble Hill for like forever, son. So yeah, I know Brooklyn well. Um, Back before they put I left when they put up the giant Coliseum. But yeah, it's you know, I love talking about these old days because I hate to say it, but they're so different from the old days of my father's generation and the old days of my nephew's generation. And their generation was just what 15 years ago when they were mad drunk on MTV. New York just got too expensive, and I moved to be around family. Yeah, my wife she drank. Wow, nice. Wow, that sounds cool. See, travel the world for love. Look at that, man. That is fucking awesome. Yeah, my fam. New York was getting too expensive. Too many out of towners. All the things that made New York seem to be being erased, so people can put up more museum and thrifty restaurants. And then I decided I didn't want to stay there anymore. Not only could I not afford to stay there, which was making me then, and uh, after I moved the last time, I was like, I'm not trying to find another place. I'm gonna go. And I called my sister about relocation, and she like always helped me out because she's fam. Came down here, looked around, took a place while I was here, went up, packed, and came back down. I was gone in a month. I miss I, I I miss the people because they were my friends, right? I miss some locations because I grew up around them. But other than that, man, I don't miss the snowstorm and the ridiculousness and the stupid people on the train. I don't miss it. But it took me 5 years not to miss it. So there's that. But yeah, New York is. Look, do we want to run through some quick history? Do I want to cut this on because that light is on? Uh, Quick history. So let's say I want to say that mid 1800s, the city to be. was Paris, right? And then after it was Paris for, I want to say, 80 years or so, it became London, either London or Germany. I didn't know. I think it became, at one point it was Germany, but then it became London. And when it moved from Paris to London, the language changed too, right? The language of business and travel changed, so more to English. Um, and then we had an industrial revolution. They ran it, right. Then we had an industrial revolution, and then it moved to America, uh, and it's been New York ever since, right? Uh, but a lot of talk is that it's going to move to China, but I don't think so. But money goes where money goes. But China, nobody wants to live, even as bad as America is. Nobody wants China ruling the world because China always sides with money, and they don't care if your government eats your liver. They're already in bed with the Taliban, right? Who've been blowing up shit. How can because and nobody wants to end up needing help from like a superpower. China will just tell you to go kick rocks. Uh, yeah, I mean, at one point it was even Moscow, right? But I think it was Moscow in the 1700s when they were making ballets and stuff like that. People wanted to go to Moscow, but nobody was learning Russian. But they always mess with Latin, I think, as Latin and as the central language that they all did money under. So this weird Latin German kind of thing. But yeah, that was a while ago. I live in Milan, which is a mid-sized city. So wait, when we talk about mid-sized cities, are we talking about like less than 5 million people or less than 3 million people? London is terrible now. Yeah, London, Sydney is terrible now. Um, and it's not just because of COVID, right? Oh yeah, less than five. Yeah, New York has too many people in it. That's New York City problem. There's too many. You begin to lose the timber of the city if there's too many people in it, right? So think of it like this: when the New York City subway was new, people rode it as a lark, like it was a ride. When people needed to depend on it, it got dirty and grimy. Yeah, you made more money with more riders, but at the same time, you had to run more trains, get more upkeep, and then people start like less upkeep to save more money. And before you know it, you get the New York City subway system in the 70s where there were giant tag markers. And I was guilty. I was a graffiti kid, right? But I like cop tags on buses and like, but not giant pieces, right? But the subways were harsher. Not only were they ugly with all the graffiti on it, which I didn't really know until I got older, but they were also no air conditioning. They break down all the time. They were unsafe, right? And that's what I mean by like they stopped doing the work. And New York City subway system is sort of not an anagram, sort of a tale of things to come with where we are now, right? We just had a bridge collapse yesterday. So yeah, it gets so. Should I close this door and open the window? What's the weather outside?
It's currently cloudy and 86 degrees.
Okay,
It's
we're gonna keep the window closed. When is sunset?
sunset will be at 7:34 p.m. today.
7:34. All right. Sunset is in 35 minutes. I keep an eye on sunsets just because I think they're cool. Somewhere the sun just peaks. I can't see it here and it's also cloudy, but we've been counting it down for like a month now. And I think it started with sunset it will be at 8:07, then the next day 8:06, and now we're at what 8:30, 8:35 or whatever. Um, I got mugged on the A train at 2 8. Yeah, see, exactly. You know what I'm talking about. All the prowlers and the ridiculous people come out. Um, in a city that doesn't allow you to carry a weapon to protect yourself. Like not just a gun, or they have issue with um mace, right? So, but what do you do if you're on the subway at 2 in the morning and you're accosted? Mess. I like the Mets. Like I grew up in Brooklyn and Queens, right? So I kind of like the Mets. I'm an underdog team, but it's nice to see when the Yankees are on a roll and you can be like, yeah, Yankees. Too many people like the Yankees. That's my issue with it. And I'm a weird baseball fan. I remember baseball fans like the '50s baseball fans who knew oh, he's got this many ERAs and he batted this, and they knew all the numbers, and they can tell you history of Ty back then and what the difference is and how they changed the ball and the dead ball zone. I don't know any of that. But every spring, growing up in New York, I look forward to spring training because it was always broadcast on WPIX. You probably remember this station. And it was always in Florida. So while there was snow outside, you could cut your TV on, especially when we all got color TVs. You could cut your TV on and see like green grass. Sometimes they'd be working out. They'd just be like lying in it. And you knew, spring's going to be here in about 6 weeks, right? They opened up spring training 6 weeks before baseball. So it was almost like you could hear the cavalry that so winter, no matter how much it wants to hang on, it's baseball season. It's like why I like golf, like just watching people walking the green grass. Ralph Kiner's, yes, I do remember Kiner's Corner. But I'm a diehard Mets fan. Saw Tom Seaver pitch. Yeah, Tom Seaver, the gentleman. But I don't remember Bob Gibson. See, and you went to those back in the days. I mean, you could get a ticket and sit right behind one of those I-beams. But yeah, the last time I went to a game, it was at Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium before they tore it down. And it was great. It was just a nice thing to do. Now down here we have a couple of local teams, minor league teams, which is even better to go see a minor league team. I mean, it's not in a giant place. Everybody can hear you scream. I saw a minor league. I fell in love with minor league teams when I went to see the Coney Island Cyclones play. I should have got a jersey. But yeah, so a guy hit a home run, and I was like, man, these guys are gonna be in the majors in a few years. It was great. Shea Stadium, yeah, exactly. The food costs less. You can watch somebody in 5 years, be like, oh man, I saw him play at down here. They're called the Tide. Yeah, but baseball is one of those things that's dying in America. I feel like it's been set aside. The national pastime has been set aside for hockey. So yeah. What are we talking about today? You want to talk about Biden's press conference, or you want to give that a second? Because here's the thing about the press conference. Someone actually sent me notes for this, and I was like, I'm going to use this today on this show. Where is it? Here it is. So Biden said in this thing that the only Americans left had family there, and they decided to stay. Man, I find that hard to believe. So the only people you left and first of all, you left people behind is a problem. But the only people you left behind, you are absolutely sure didn't want to come back. They killed a comedian. They killed a poet, right? And yesterday they killed a YouTuber. A lady YouTuber who was like in her mid-20s. I mean, it's 20 years. People wanted it ended. Don't get it wrong. But the way it ended is such a problem. I don't see how he survives this in the midterms. It's so bad. It's so bad. You can't, there's no excuse you can make to make this jagged pill that you want people to swallow any less painful. That's why they call it a jagged little pill, right? It's quoted briefly. I gave a politician politics, and I believe in the party of me. Yeah, but here's the thing: we are not. I mean, I used to do that too as a younger man, but we're not. Let's hit this. Okay, I'll take that. We're not. What's the word I'm looking for? We're not islands in the stream, so to speak, right? That is not what we are. We are social creatures. We are. I always use the example of the tribe, right? And it's always like 120 people or so in my head when most of the time I give a scenario, because it's really simple. You know what you don't want in your tribe? You don't want the people who lead the tribe, the people that are walking around on pallets. First of all, you don't want them on pallets. You want them walking unless they're injured or old, right? Uh, that I'm fine with. If someone has you don't want somebody in like a wheelchair because they're tired with their feet up, someone pushing them. You want somebody in a wheelchair who actually needs a wheelchair. So the tribe that I have in my head, you don't want your senior people who the senior hunters, like let's call those the military people, and the senior planners and religious people, the spiritual shaman, right? Let's call those religious people, and the planners of marching, let's call those the congressmen, and the final guy, the king or the prime minister, not prime minister, the what do you call them in the tribe days? The chief or the whoever. You don't want them plotting against you. And I feel like America plots against us. And this is just more in that vein of we're above the law. We can make these mistakes. We can fuck it up tremendously. We're still going to get paid. We're in bed with like our friends who went to college and we're in our fraternities and now run newspapers and other people run oil companies and other people run, like we talked about yesterday, the oil, gas, and chemical companies all lied about lead gasoline, just like the tobacco companies lied about tobacco's being dangerous. I mean, at this point, you're like, how fucking dare you tell us that we should trust you? I mean, at this point, it gets to the point where you decry the people driving the ship because they're going to take you over the cliff, right? And this is where we're at. And they're sitting here, if you peek up by going, you are about to run us aground in this ship that we're all on. We don't like your leadership anymore. All of a sudden, you're a communist or a socialist or right. And these things were hard insults in the 60s and 70s after coming out of World War II. Now people are like, rich don't pay taxes. That's socialism for the rich, right? Rich kids don't go to war. That's, I mean, what are you telling me? I mean, it's gotten, Biden is way too old. I agree. He can barely walk. I wish we could have a younger president. Even Trump is too old. I agree. But here's the thing. I don't want to be ageist, but Trump did not look feeble and infirm, as old as he was, right? And Biden did. He did. So we looked up Jack LaLanne a couple of days ago. If you're president and you're running and you're 80 and you're like Jack LaLanne pulling boats across streams at your 75th birthday party, so what was it? 70 boats with 70 people on them, a mile. I'm voting for, but if you can't walk up the stairs to Air Force One, and here's the thing about that speech, he gave that speech today at like 3 p.m. Normally, your presidential addresses are like 8:30 at night. People were still at work when he gave this thing on a weekday. He's probably asleep right now. I was like, what? What? I missed it. I had to go look it up because I was expecting, the president. I heard at like 11 this morning, the president's going to give an address today. I was like, all right. My man sent me this after the address. I was like, he spoke already? And he said this to me at like 3:30, 3:34, and it was over. And I was like, oh, this dude is not serious. That's like the what is it when you're an old person and they have the dinner special and it's at like 2 p.m. You're just kind of like, oh, come on, man. We and our enemies know it. I've been saying this for a while. They keep power by having us. I'm looking for more ads. Having us war against each other. So the women are mad at the men. This whole Me Too thing means every guy is it, right? And I've talked about the Me Too thing, how that's in a lot of instances been a political move for a lot of people, used to like upset the vote. Like, so now you got rid of Cuomo, who you should have got rid of last term instead of now. You knew about all this women's sex stuff, and you didn't do a dang thing about it. Now all of a sudden, it just upsets the vote. Right? He should not have been able to run anymore because of this. Who doesn't know how he treated his wife like 20 years ago? Who doesn't know these stories? So, and then you come up and go, oh, we can get him out by Me Too. It just seems a way to get around the vote. Like this vote in LA, it seems the same thing. Newsom is, I mean, I don't know, but if you were going to get rid of him, I mean, he had an affair with his chief of staff's wife. That's your I mean, that says a lot about your nature, and you voted him in anyway. So it's like, okay, you knew about the scuzzy incompetence, and you voted him again. You voted him in anyway. And don't get me wrong. Here's my thing. If you're gonna do this about, we want to know who you're, and you ain't wrong. It's got to be you. You are not wrong. Who does that? I mean, it's one thing to have an affair, right? I don't want to know about because I don't want to lie to your wife. It's another thing to have an affair with your homie's woman. It's just kind of like, yeah. I mean, some of these people, it shows that, well, they can't be trusted around the people that they know. What are they going to do to you? It's so ridiculous. So it just seems to me to be a way to get people to undo the will of the people. And if you, because you can't, there's too many ways, and this is how you get this where the rule of law is just what the rich and in power say to keep you away from them. Then, like I said, they call you a communist or a traitor or Antifa or Black Lives Matter or a terrorist or whatever. Then you just stick the cops on you, right? And they get their way and you get sent to prison. Or if you don't get sent to prison, you can't do whatever you were doing, whether it's protesting or right, because now you got a court case, you got to get a lawyer, and that's costing you all this money. Now you got to get a second job to get the, you know what I'm saying? So now they give you a whole bag of other problems to worry about in your personal life while they go off and buy new houses. Give the names of every American in the country to the Taliban. Oh my God, that is going to come back to haunt you. So I mean, the incompetence of people above the law who are, quite frankly, elites and either incompetent or elite and sinister is where we are. And here in the homeland, Cass is like, your enemy is these black kids. Look, if you're marching against Black Lives Matter, you're essentially, your position is essentially the cops should be able to kill anybody they want or do whatever to anybody they want. That's essentially what you're saying. Because it's not let the bad guys out of jail. People are marching because the cops treated people badly. And then you're showing up at rallies with, and this is how it went. I'm not saying you, but the Black Lives people marched peacefully. Then the alt-right people would show up with their AR-15s. Then all these groups began to arm themselves when they went to protest. So now you have in open carry states like where I am now, people show up, Black Lives Matter people, the new Black Panthers show up with their AR-15s and across the street. But they, at least here, they talk. They give joint press conferences. So it says, we spoke to each other. We know we got guns. This is not about, we hate black people. This is about freedom of speech and our gun rights. And then the black armed Black Panther, Black Lives Matter, or New Black Panther Party will go, yeah, it's about, we got a right to have guns and we can march and and I'm like, wow, they're both on the same page. But in all these other places, one dude show up with guns and the other shows up in the classic style of no nonviolence, which, by the way, is dying, because once you see people showing up to your peaceful march with AR-15, you are stupid if you do not arm yourself. Especially complain that the cops don't take you seriously and your complaints, and then you get your head blown off at a peaceful rally. The cops are going to be like, can't find anybody? Don't know anybody? Nah, we'll get around to it. And you're going to be like, man, why did we even march again? We've been marching for, what did I say the last time? Since 1958. We've been marching for 50, 60 years now, and we never get anything. Vote Democrat, we never get anything. There was some nonsense today. We can look that up. A police officer grabbed this woman leaving a park. It's all on tape for no reason. And now, I mean, it's like people have been watching, and I'm pro cop, but people have been watching you fuck it up for a long time now. Why would you still make these mistakes? Police grabs woman, right? It was Chicago. Yeah. Video of woman and police officer at North Avenue Beach goes viral. COP investigate. I guess that's the civilian of police accountability or something. Chicago cop put on desk duty after grabbing black woman walking her dog. He just walked by her. Then he followed her. Then he grabbed her. And I think here's what the thing. He said, the park was closing. She shouldn't have been in it, but there were people behind her, and people left before her, and nothing happened. He he got a burr up his butt about her, and then when he walked over to her, because she's taping him now. Now he doesn't like being taped. She said, "Please don't come near me. You're not wearing a mask. It is a pandemic, mind you. Please don't come near me." And I think that's what set him off, because a lot of these cops don't want to wear masks. And as someone who, oh, we're losing imagery. That happens with this restreamer sometimes. Um, so telling a cop to put his mask on is going to get you in trouble, right? So the first thing, I got to get back on Facebook. The first thing you want to do is hit Facebook immediately and point your camera at them. So when your friends, because they would go into your phone, like it's hard to make you press your finger to the old phone, but now they'll just hold it up to your face and then unlock, right? And then the first place they're going is your video images, and they'll delete as needed. And you'll go, they deleted mine. There was one woman they arrested, they took her phone and they disseminated her nude pictures. Those guys didn't lose their job. I was like, how do you take her nude pictures and put it online and then lie to a judge about it? It's this idea of we can do whatever we want to you, because the people above us are too busy stealing money that they don't care what we do. And when they panic, we will then protect them. And when you get too much for us, because the population always outnumbers the police. Let's remember that. Then we'll bring in the military. And I've only seen Americans fight with the military once, and that was a couple of years ago. And I was shocked to see it. But that told me something. Look, first, all this "thank you for your service" stuff is sort of mind warping you. You feel like you shouldn't be able to criticize the military, and that's just bad, especially here, right? Don't criticize the Chinese military. I get that. You'll end up in a labor camp. But at the end of the day, America keeps talking all these freedoms, got all these. The way you steal from people is the law. You put all your friends, like you see, they put all these people on the Supreme Court. Now they're going to overturn voting rights. They're going to overturn Roe v. Wade. And by the way, Roe v. Wade, you should have solved this shit one way or the other by now, right? I'm seriously, it shouldn't keep cropping up every 15 years. The only thing people do is keep these things around so they can raise money off it. Oh, they're going to take away your right to vote. Give me money and vote for me so I can protect your interests. And the other group side, they're going, they want more abortions. Give us money so we can stop them. Vote for me and send me they both want the same issues always up, right? I think what's going to happen, and you can't tell people to sit their election out. That's do you know that's against the law here in America? Yeah, it's this idea that your enemies are massing on you if this was a fort, and you're fighting inside the tent with people you shouldn't be fighting with, who have good bona fides as Americans, right? Long history of fighting every war for the state, not blowing people up, not doing any of this stuff. New Americans who are busting ass trying to be a part of it, but the elites can't stop stealing. We should have had universal health care a long time ago. Or at the very least, if someone gets sick, it shouldn't cost, like I say this on this show all the time. I'm on a rant now. Like I'm saying in this show all the time. You should not, if your 8-year-old kid's cancer, you should not have a $250,000 bill for it, $500,000 bill for it. Go on group me people can't bury their family members. America is so out of whack. And then when you go, this is unfair, they go, you need to work harder. You should have went to college. That's the kind of shit that gets you hung from the tree by the masses when some sweet talking ex-military general, colonel, or just erudite citizen comes through with a different plan that people go, yeah, we're for this guy, not for you anymore. Right? I mean, we've seen it. It's rare, but we've seen it. And like I said, I've seen American troops and cops shoot at American citizens. So don't tell me how they love the country, and the military is so that it won't. I think, we run on this idea that Americans are great, but in our tent, there's war, and it's getting louder and louder and louder. That January 6th thing was just the conservatives. But remember, everybody has been marching for like the last 20 years in this country, going back to Occupy Wall Street. Everybody's been marching because every group is unhappy with the same group of people, and they're all on I'm about to say Wall Street, but they are on Wall Street and in Hollywood and then but mostly on Capitol Hill, right? They all take their orders from these companies, which we just said, like the gas company, the oil company, and the chemical company, all lied about lead paint forever, and just like the uh, the tobacco industry lied about cancer with tobacco, and now they're all trying to like, oh well, we're going to fixate and we're going to corner the market on weed, and people aren't going to do anything, and people are unhappy. You can't. It's impossible. It's getting harder and harder to buy property in America, and now in some places you can't even rent. So who fucked that up? So yeah, man. Let's see. Healthcare in here is awesome. My daughter had brain surgery. Ooh, when she was 21, fully recovered with her taxes. Well, I'm glad she's okay. None of see, yeah, exactly. And here, if that happened here, you'd still be paying that off. I don't even know when it happened, but I'm sure you still be paying it off well into like 2040. It's just, and then they write these laws where you, you have to pay it off, right? So it's either well, it's my rent or it's this student loan which you can't abandon because then the government will do all this evil shit to you. Meanwhile, these guys don't even pay taxes, much less defend that flag, right? Every now and then you hear somebody going into politics, but they are recent. And then after they've been there and they have kids, their kids never go back, right? At least with John McCain, service was his family line. His father was a general. His grandfather was a general. I think there were 3 General McCains going on. And then he was a captain in the Air Force, right? Before he got captured and hurt. Then he had I think he had a couple of daughters who didn't go in because they're just celebrity kids now. But that's the way it is. I mean, Nancy Pelosi, her father was a congressman. Then he just moved where there was an open seat. George Bush, his father was a congressman, then head of the CIA, then a president, then a vice president, then a president. How powerful was he? We talked about how Beau Biden got sworn in as a first lieutenant in the Navy after having a drug problem and being 43, 45, well past the age of being able to do it. But he got a presidential dispensation and was famously sworn in the White House Yellow Room or whatever it was. And then a month later, he gets thrown out for being on cocaine. It's just kind of like, you are too stupid to even realize a good thing. Meanwhile, his father is throwing kids in jail for the same shit his son is addicted to. It's so unseemly. And for them to then go, no, we got this. You don't know what you're talking about. We need to be here for 50 years because we have expertise in what exactly is your expertise? And people are angry. People are I mean, look, I'm driven to talk about it on the internet when I should be talking about the latest. I'm not cool. I was going to say like the latest stance. Do people still even have the latest stances? You just want it to work out. You feel that all the shit you worked for your whole life has sort of been kind of like they led you down this path, right? Man, we are somehow off our track, right? So it's like we're supposed to be heading this way, but somebody and slowly we just got off into the weeds, and someone's gonna have to fix it. The IRS only goes after poor people, right? And here's the thing: the Sackler family is on trial for essentially being drug dealers, essentially, right? And they're sitting up there telling the judge, "Well, we won't do this, and we won't do that, and this is what we want." You know what? I'd run up in their house with a SWAT. I would treat them like they were Black and Latino kids in like the Bronx. I'd run up in your house, wake everybody up at 3 a.m. I have dogs barking and guns in your face, and then I would fucking throw you in jail and take all your shit into receivership. And as a judge, I would fine you, court costs or whatever. But the idea that you're saying you destroy millions of families, the idea that you're going, yeah, but we're not going to do that, and we'll litigate it forever. Yeah, well, you can litigate it from a tiny little box in general population. The arrogance of these people, they built themselves this like European-esque with the elites, and we don't have to do anything, but this is America, right? It's not Europe. It's not some German burg where we build castles. I mean, you build a castle to yourself. but the cats will run up on it. I tell people this all the time. People think that there will not be a civil war in America again, and they didn't think that the first time. And on top of that, the country is here because of a freaking civil war, quite frankly, right? That gave us, it was a civil war because we were part of the British at the time. Then we declared independence, so it wasn't a civil war. It was our war of independence. I think they call it the American War for something or other. But we call it the American Revolution, right? They call it the American War for Independence. Close enough. I don't care. But the idea was Cat picked up guns against the authority because fuck you, right? So the idea that after this is in the blood of the American, and you may try and watch it away by trying to have people love Europe. I think the place has too many guns in it, and too many people who sort of expect, how can I say this? Sort of expect you to be by the tenets that the country says it's supposed to be about, right? I tell you, we were talking about yesterday about the Buffalo election, right? Where the guy lost, the mayor who was there for 4 terms lost, and then he lost the primary, tried to get his name on the ballot anyway through law and weird trickery and who he knows, and people kept shooting it down because it's so beyond. It's like saying I didn't register in time for running for office and didn't do it, but I'm going to subpoena my friends of the Supreme Court to put me on the ballot for president anyway, right? I mean, you can only do that if you know people and if you have so who's popular and not a politician. Everybody loves George Clooney. So let's say there was people would be, and you did it. I mean, I always say this: beware the precedent, because once somebody goes, well, they did it in this small. I remember Rudy Giuliani was trying to say on his mayor after 9/11, oh, we can't. He tried to say what the president said, right? The president said we can't change ships in the middle of the stream, right? But this was 4 years later. He used that cowboy reference. That was Bush saying that to get elected 4 years later, because 9/11 happened. I want to say 9 months into he's sworn in January, and in September of that year, 9/11 happened. That year, Giuliani, I don't live there anymore, had term limits of how long you can stay as mayor in New York City, so people don't sit there forever, right? It's one of the good things. 8 years. The person who broke that, a billionaire who, in my opinion, bribed people, rugged people, got people's opinion on it by giving them money, and then he stayed 12 years. He subverted the will of the people and didn't care what the people said. That's Bloomberg, right? Then he ran for president because he didn't like Trump running, right? And they were just desperate. All these Democrats with money after he was just rolling through the place. And then all of a sudden, but then people were like, this guy is not serious. His whole history is one of his word being garbage, quite frankly. And then they did all these exposes about he promised everybody, he paid everybody through this. Then he got out early and was like, "Ah, fuck you people, I'm not paying you at all." And people just kind of like, and can you imagine if he won, right? And he's a shitty person. I was saying this a couple of days ago about these cops or these whoever's who gets canceled, right? About your social media. No one lies about your social media. This is my personal phone. Everything in it, I put in there, unless the CIA hacks me and dumps shit in here, right? But every website I went there, right? Every stupid article that's in here, I didn't read all of them, but I was interested in saving. So when the cops show up and go, yeah, you threatened the president and we're arresting you, and I go, what? I go to church every Sunday and I'm a good Christian man. And then they look into my social media, and I'm indeed at church every Sunday, and I have pictures with the kids, and everybody goes, oh, he teaches Sunday school. Then they look into my private stuff. Oh, he doesn't do go to any chat rooms and call anybody heifers or whores or niggers or all the rest of it. He's not involved in any of that. So when they go, well, he's saying he's this kind of person, And his social media says he's that kind of person, versus me going, well, I would never do that. And then they look at my social media and I'm up there going out, these fucking bitches, and fuck the president, and I hate the this, that, and I kill everybody, and and then all my pictures are me with guns, and me with bags of drugs, and me with all this shit. And then they get me in court, they go, you said you were this, but here's your social media. Here are the sites you frequent and visit. Guns, and hate everybody, and then this is your resume. I tell people all the time, you have better lose your wallet or your purse than lose your phone, because your phone has infinitely more information in it, right? People have their banking information in it. They got 20 years worth of photos of their family and their trips, a ton of text messages and emails from people. Your whole life is in this thing. So when the cops come, the first thing they want is they want it. And so you better be about what you say you're about. I'm absolutely about this. Yeah, there's some shit I don't want you to know about my life. But at the end of the day, it's nothing that's going to throw me in jail. It's just something that'll embarrass me a little bit. And I think everyone fucking probably has the same kind of stuff, right? And I'm not talking about a stupid picture of me that my mom has with a giant afro or any of that, because none of us are born in monasteries, right? But when you get into trouble for fucking around with these stupid websites and leaning into all the kill whitey shit and I hate the nigger shit and fuck the Asian with the chink shit, and drive up all these numbers, and then you beat somebody up and you brag about it and you rush the January 6th door. When justice comes, and we're going to call it justice, isn't any justice. Let's just call it the law. When the law comes for you, right, you're going to be a ground ball to kick into jail because of the shit you have on your phone. All right. I wish I had more church shit on my phone. But other than that, I'm good. Well, I'm not really good. I talk a lot of shit. So I'm pretty sure someone would be like, yeah, you don't like judges and you think the place is on and we help make it unfair. I should have got probation. What is it? A fine and like a week's probation. I'm getting like 25 years. It's that kind of thing. America has political prisoners too. Don't get it wrong. Don't get it wrong. And the media is in for the media is not going to say I'm innocent. The media talks about Me Too all the time and leaves Bill Gates out of it. They leave Bill Clinton out of it. You know what I'm saying? They can't stop talking about R. Kelly. Can't stop talking about Donald Trump. It's all, it's all to feed the ridiculousness. So after you're drunk, I used to buy it too. It's either that, it's politics that they want you to follow to make you crazy and be for one or the other and always for them. Or it's like, if you don't want that, then they'll give you who's dating who in Hollywood. Like it matters to you. Like Kanye West and Kim Kardashian getting a divorce was everywhere. And I was like, how does this affect me? I've said it before. Kanye West is a genius. I love his music. That dude is a genius. But you know what? In music, he's a genius. I don't care what he has to say about politics or anything else because he doesn't have a track record of thinking logically on this front. So you could, and I said this before. So you go to ask Kanye West something, so you know he's going to say something ridiculous, and you can run around and stick it in your paper and get hits for it, right? Just like, but you're not going to do this to some people. Nobody's going to run up to Taylor Swift and go, "What do you think about Black Lives Matter?" That you girl from Tennessee, especially after she's been out with her girlfriends and had a couple of drinks. Let me tell you something. None of them want jobs. None of them going to work. Then she sold them the more people like cancel Taylor Swift. So wait, what the fuck? Right? And the person who wrote the article was like, ooh, but nobody's going to even ask her that. They'll say, how was your night? Who are you wearing? You look great. But Kanye wants to be sober as a duck, walking out of something, someone will shout something goofy at him because they know he's going to answer it. Right? The media does not care if there's a fire and someone throws a baby and I catch the baby, they'll put me on the thing as a hero, or if someone threw the baby out the window and I dropped the baby. It would still be on the front of the news. Right? It's a win-win for them. So a lot of these people talking this stuff on my news, I'm just kind of like, you're giving me news that I didn't ask for, that isn't news, to fill up the time. When you could ignore this, who's so-and-so dating, and actually do some serious journalism on, some of these ridiculous congressmen. Like get some of their tweets. What do they call it? Get some of their, what do they call that? When you I didn't show it to you. When you I missed it. All right. So yeah, are we gonna watch this thing? It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, but when it feels
All right,
good,
hold on. I hold on. Let me. So I'm gonna put me back here. I'm gonna mute this, and then I'm gonna play this commercial out. Come on. And all these celebrities don't want to do anything but sell you shit anyway. Like he's selling you gambling. So yeah, he's a millionaire 20 times over, but he took money from a giant corporation to get you to feel good about gambling. Something that you do when you're, I don't know, man. Make sure everybody is, I guess, freaking is on the dole to you for in some way. Let me put this here. I'll be right back. All right. Whew. I am getting a little sweaty, just a little sweaty. All right, so let's show you this thing.
never able to protect her that night. Imagine that
Hold it. I'm trying to.
wildest dreams did she imagine that the one person who she would have thought should protect her that night.
I just want the video. I don't want the commenter.
Tonight, a Chicago police officer is on administrative leave after this encounter with a woman went viral. And now the woman's attorney is speaking out. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Dawn Hassler.
Yeah, for what reason did he do this?
Walking her dog on the lakefront after hours when she was approached by the officer, then things got heated. Elizabeth Matthews is live tonight with the very latest. Elizabeth.
We're told that the superintendent, David Brown, made up his mind this morning, taking that officer off the street, placing him on.
Yeah, what are you going to say about this? Now, here's the thing. Let's stop this. Holy moly! There's a giant bug on my window. It's a grasshopper. I should take a picture of it. I'm not going to take a picture of it. So I remember when these things began, right? People were fighting to get cameras on cops, and the cops were like, we don't need cameras, right? This is why people wanted cameras on cops, because people would say, and nobody wants to say, oh man, ooh, I'm working up a sweat here. Nobody wants to say that the police and the judicial system is unfair. I say it all the time, but nobody wants to say that. And they don't want to be accused of that. So why wouldn't you have cameras fix that issue? Why wouldn't you? Because it will also prove what a lot of people have been saying for decades about the cops. And time and time again, they fought it and they had to be sued to do it. And now people cut them off. People slow roll the implementation of cameras to their police department. Meanwhile, people suffer for it. Here we go.
Woman says this is a great first step, but they want more.
This is an issue about that officer, with that officer's temperament, and that is an officer that should not be policing the streets of Chicago.
Exactly.
The attack was caught on cell phone video by witnesses. The woman in the video, Nikita Brown, was also rolling.
This is why you get a big dog.
Respect my space. It's COVID. 6 feet. You do not have a mask on.
Attorney Keenan Salter.
That's what pissed them off.
Walking her dog around midnight Friday, North Avenue Beach. The officer told her the park was closed.
Let's say she violated an ordinance. That ends in getting a ticket.
Right.
That should never end in being brutally attacked and groped by a police officer who's 2.5 times your size.
He says Brown was trying to leave when the officer grabs her.
See, he doesn't want her phone. That's what it
The
is.
video ends with Brown walking away, never placed under arrest.
That's the thing. If she had done something, he should have arrested her. That's it. She didn't do anything. She was leaving the park after closing. Give her a summons for trespassing. Right? I don't see any way. It's the arrogance of that. it's COVID, and she's right. But look, the arrogance of some of these people, they're little men, and you give these big jobs. I'm a super proponent of police work, right? You have to have cops on the street because, you know, not everybody can walk with their family member, their ladies, their wife, their daughter. And even if you could, not everybody is a giant dude, right? Sometimes you need a giant dude to take on another giant dude, right? So you call the police. Otherwise, I'll protect my own women with this AR-15. And not everybody's protecting everybody with their, you know, it's got to be your authority has got to be respected, and it can only be respected if your authority is recognized by the people that you put that authority on. If they view you as just another fucking bully, right, another racist, another just dumb, angry knucklehead, they're not viewing your authority, and they've got nothing but short shrift for you and the agency that you represent. Why don't they fix these things? They don't care because no one does this. And I bet you, I don't want to. I think this is entirely race based. I rarely see it happening to women, though I do see it happening to women of all stripes, but I see it happening to Black women more. And I think they know that they can get away with it. So let's see what they say in the comments on this. More out of control cops, color me shocked. Mayor Lightfoot, I was shocked and appalled by what I saw in this video. This lady unintentionally just hit the Illinois lottery. If a cop see, and it's not about money, man. Not everybody's gonna get rich, right? And one cop, how many people can he beat up a day? You know what I mean? He would just put more bad. He will make more people who hate cops. It's like when you're killing terrorists with these drone strikes. If you're killing terrorists, fine. But if you're killing random farmers, more people are going to become terrorists against you. You see what I'm saying? You will make terrorists. These people are making people hate them. Race baiting in Chirac. What's new? Yeah, really? And then there's these idiots. How's this race baiting? How's it race baiting? Some people don't believe anything anybody does to you is race baiting if you complain about it. It's a way to get you to be, man. And some of these guys, they are not fan of women for whatever reason. They're not fans of women. Yeah, it. And then he walks away. Let's see what else they have to say about it.
It's shocking to me that after he's attacking her, she picks up her phone, she puts her shoes back on. This attack knocked her out of her shoes.
Yeah, she had slippers
and
on.
She's allowed to walk away because he knew she had done nothing wrong.
Yeah, he didn't.
Racially motivated.
I don't know if it's racially motivated, but I think they'll approach Black people first, right? So that in itself is profiling, racially profiling. But was it racist? I don't know if the guy's racist. That's too much for me to speak on. But the behavior I've seen before, and it's usually by arrogant, mean-spirited, stupid bullies and racists. So he's either arrogant, he's mean-spirited, he's another stupid bully, or he's a racist, right? There's a few things he can be here. The fact that he did not, and I think it's because she was like, "Don't get near me because you don't have a mask on," and he was like, "I forget." Then she was taping him. And he was like, "Fucking tape me," you know, that kind of energy. And then a light which sort of went on in his head that he shouldn't pursue this any further, right? But he was already wrong. So, I mean, will he lose his job? I don't know. He's going to take he's suspended now. That's a hit. But if they say they found he did nothing wrong, that's just bullshit. I don't know if they'll fire him for it. But if they look into his jacket and it's like, this guy's got nothing but beating people up and people going to the hospital, and yeah, maybe we'll get it. Because, I mean, you're still fighting with these unions and these police departments with their unwillingness to get rid of their bad apples. And like I said, one bad apple, how many apples are in a bunch? You know, if your whole precinct has a bad apple, they can get around. They can make it hateful. of you coming into town, and then you have to police it in a different way, and then you're gonna need the media to run out there and show you playing basketball with the kids, or buying some homeless person a pair of socks. You know, whatever the case is gonna be. He didn't arrest anybody.
There were other people in the park.
Yeah, a ton of people. Yeah, other people taped you.
Compared to the other folks in the park was her skin color.
I saw the video. I was quite disturbed by what I saw.
Okay, stop it. You're disturbed by what you saw. This happens so often. For you to be disturbed by what you saw, I'm just kind of like, we miss. I mean, everybody's always shocked by stuff. Why are you in government if you're shocked by stuff? It's like you don't have a newspaper. When is sunset?
Sunset tomorrow will be at 7:32 p.m.
All right, so yeah, 7:32 tomorrow. She was shocked by what she saw. Oh, Mayor Lightfoot, come on. And that's it. And that's another way. Even the way this is at least they interviewed her lawyer, but like then they cut to the man. They give the mayor one sentence. I was shocked by what. Then they stop and they move on because they're not really interested in the story. Yeah, let's close this. Man, it is what it is. We can actually hold on. Take this, put this over here. Taliban members escorted Americans to the gates. Okay, and here, look at this, man. A Louisiana man, 71, presumed dead after an alligator attacked him in an area flooded by Ida. So we have on one end of the country flooding. We have in the middle of the country a drought. And then we have in the far west of the country fires that's been burning since, I want to say, March. We got our own problems here. We could mobilize people like they did in the 40s when they wanted to, I'm about to say, to build a railroad. When they wanted to get people back to the workers program, the WPA, the Work Progress Administration or something, get all these young people to build all these. I mean, we just had a bridge fall down in this flood. So, and this is my thing. Every hurricane weakens a tree, right? So just because the tree didn't fall this time does not mean the next hurricane it won't fall down then, right? In California, see, New York can have its power lines above ground because it rarely hits. Well, first of all, there are no forest fires in New York, and if they are, they don't last years and years because New York gets snow and rain from. We all know how the weather works, right? The weather in California is not the weather in New York. That's not the way it hits. The weather in the middle of the country. I want to say down to Chicago is Arctic weather from Canada. The weather and that will give you rain and snow. And I think it's separated by like, do we want to look up New York City? Do we want to look up the American map? Let's look up winds. Because here in the West, we get winds from the ocean, right, by the Pacific, but it also blows down from, like, our weather is usually the same was weather in Chicago is New York's weather. Rain in Chicago on Monday is New York's weather on Wednesday. It's that kind of thing. So if they get a blizzard storm running through, we can expect it. In the middle of the country, American wind across the country. Here we go. Hold on, where is it? See, or it comes from the Gulf, right? I mean, I don't know why winds from, so you have to speak to a weather dude, but winds from, I don't know why winds from California, I think they're broken up by the mountains. I think that's what it is. And in the middle of the country is a desert. Remember that. Let's put this up. See if we're anywhere close to what we're talking about. Remember seventh grade earth sciences, people? So yeah, I always like to do that. The winds come down through here, and this is all our weather, right? It sort of pushes through, like, because we're lopsided, right? So this actually we're lopsided the other way. This area is warmer because its booty is more tropical, and this is more northern, close to Nova Scotia and Greenland and Maine. So we get snow here. So we would have to tilt this map funny. Look at it, 90. Yeah, so I forget what breaks it up. I think it's the Sierra Nevada mountain range, right? Do we want to look up mountain ranges? American mountain range. We're going down a rabbit hole, people. This is why I would make a good Jeopardy contestant. Yeah, you go. All right, yeah, we did this. So the Rocky Mountains is why California's weather, Sierra Nevada mountains, and Nevada mountains aren't New York City weather. But Chicago, that's not good. But Chicago's weather is New York's weather. And the Appalachians aren't as high as freaking the Rocky Mountains, for God's sakes. But the same thing happens on the west, right? The wind blowing from the Atlantic Ocean into like Virginia and Jersey and New York, it's also stopped by the mountain range, right? Isn't that what happens here? So how do we get weather from? Actually, you can hike the mountain range, so it's not that high. Yeah. So anyway, all our weather comes from Canada. Although it's going to be a cold low here, dropping here, getting ridiculous here, and it's different. Let's do this. Let's do that. He was cool. It was a good meeting. John McCain was an amazing human. Yeah, he was. I would have. Yeah. It's. I mean, our system is once people trust you, you can abuse them. But then here's the problem: once people stop trusting, you're in a whole. You're in for retribution. You left people who wanted to be in Afghanistan. Uh stock shake badly, rallies. I mean, the stock market. So they want you to be obsessed about politics. They want you to be obsessed about sports. Uh, they want you to follow what they tell you to follow about politics. But at the end of the day, I think everybody is given bad information by the people in charge and their family 6 7 search for missing level ends with news. Topeka man detailed latest COVID related. Okay, so look, man. This Louisiana gator thing is crazy because they have gators there, and now all this water. I would be afraid to freaking leave the house. Uh, the Caldo fire is now 191,000 acres, threatening 33,000 homes and businesses. How many people? Those people are not gonna want to go back. Um, and there's supposed to be another hurricane coming New York's way this weekend, right? So New York is going to get weather from Hurricane Ida that's still moving through up to Wednesday, Thursday. And then on Sunday, I want to say, they're going to get a hurricane that's going to skirt the East Coast, but hit like Long Island, and New England. Bonnaroo 2021 canceled due to heavy rain from Hurricane Ida 38 minutes ago. Yeah, a lot of this should be hurricane veteran was stunned by Ida. Everybody's always stunned by the latest hurricane. we said it yesterday. How long can you keep paying people's insurance to live there? There's no water in parts of the country, and then there's too much water in other parts of the country. A hurricane, New York hurricane. Here you go. Hurricane Ida path will New York be hit by a storm this weekend? This wasn't Hurricane Ida. This was a new one that started here in the on the East Coast. Ida. Yeah. Hurricane Ida remnants will hit New York City. Here's what you need to know. It's going to hit likely as just a heavy rainstorm. Just because we all know that hurricanes get their power from, where is it? I'm looking for it. Where is it? Hurricanes get their power from, oh man, did I throw it away? I did throw it away. Hurricane gets their power from the water, warm water. So now that you're overland, you're just going to get a giant storm dumping rain on everything, and a lot of it. But there was supposed to be one coming, like I said, skirting the East Coast. I forget the name of it. So I want people to be safe because, I mean, I got homies there, and I'm sure Nazim has family there as well. It was good meeting him. It was cool that he was in the chat. So let's keep it together. We're here every night, 6:30 every night, for about an hour. It's supposed to be 20 minutes of catching up, but it normally goes for an hour and 15 minutes when I'm not late. I was late today by 10 minutes for getting coffee, and I only took a couple of sips of it. Maybe coffee is my crutch, right? If I used to finish it, now like in my head, I'm like I should get more, but I'm not finishing it. That might be a good thing. Let me close this finally. People are sitting up here looking at me, walking around in my all together. Oh, here it is. Today is the last day of August. This is the last day of summer, right? Isn't that the official? Tomorrow is September. You know what this means? Back to school. Summer's over. Prep for the fall, which is Halloween. We do love Halloween. I've been saying this for a while. This is off topic. I likely won't have a show. I know we're going to do this every day for 1,000 days. Our Sunday show is 7:30 a.m. Might move that to 8, but might not. 7:30 a.m. Come down, get a little old timey religion. We talk about everything. We just talk about it at 7 a.m. But since it's Sunday, it counts as church and counts as synagogue, and counts as your mosque ceremony. So you can give the little money that you would have put in the tin or the till or the however. Buy yourself a coffee. Take your family out for ice cream. Use it well. Use it for you. Give it to a homeless guy for a cup of coffee. Yeah, and hopefully we'll see you Sunday at 7. And it generally goes about 10:30, 11. So you don't have to be here exactly at 7. But please show up. Have coffee with us. 8:30, 9:30, 10. We'll be there. But normally we are off by 11. We want you at least out of the house by like freaking 11. Go sit in the sun. Go do some cool stuff with your peoples. But I will likely not be here because of September 11th. So I'm trying to figure out how I keep my streak of 1,000 days going, the streak leading up to 1,000 days, and also have some reverence for this day that I have nightmares about still. Maybe I will stream. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna be here. I might be here. I don't know. Don't hold me to being here. But if I'm not here, please forgive me. Yeah, I think I said this a couple of days ago. I don't like to watch TV. I don't like to see it on TV. So I'll watch Netflix or I'll watch Amazon, and I'll play video games, and I'll act like today is, August 4th. Like I'll try and act like it's a regular old day, December 9th, April 12th or whatever, just not. I can't fuck with it. Um, so I likely won't be streaming on July 4th. July 4th. I likely won't be streaming on. We streamed on July 4th. Um, I likely won't be here on September 11th for my own personal reasons. I explained some of them to you, for my own personal reasons. But I got to figure out how to. Maybe I'll just stream for 20 minutes. I don't know. I don't want to do something corny like a silent stream. I just don't want to acknowledge it. It bothers me to no end. I don't want to acknowledge it. Yeah, like I said, man, when I left New York, that was the first time I had gone back since the incident. I took a picture there and I said goodbye, and that's it. So I don't want to be there. But I ask all of you to remember those people, those 3,000 people who were just trying to go to work. It was a Tuesday. So, I mean, I'm sorry. I should do something, but like I said, everything that I think of is corny. And quite frankly, if I follow my intuition, I want to acknowledge the stream, but I don't want to do anything. And I don't want to just come up and like play video games on stream. I think that's sort of disrespectful, and it's me obviously avoiding it when I try to just avoid it in my personal life. I don't know. I've got a couple of days to figure out something, um, which tells me I likely won't be here. All right. So let's remember, boys and girls, men and women, uh, rogues and warlocks, D&D titles. Uh, we're here every day, 6:30. We talk about these daily issues. We try and do it professionally, but we are urban people. We may curse. We may give a couple of what the fucks, and we don't really mean to. Um, but we don't deal in hatred. Uh, we just deal in trying to solve the problem. Here's the thing about me solving the problem. Like I said, if I'm sitting here on this stream giving you better freaking uh, stupid plans than you can think up, and you're in government, you shouldn't be in government. Like I just said, like we got all these things falling down. Hire all these young men to fucking put up buildings. Maybe they'll learn a new career, right? Not everybody wants to go to college. I said a long time ago, they should never stop trade schools, right? Some people want to be carpenters and they don't want to go to college. And why? I mean, everything has been steered to drive people to college, and then for some of these degrees are ridiculous. Uh, and then they owe like 150, 200, 300 grand for college education where no one. It's the whole country seems to have become like I used to say, one of those medicine wagons where the guy will show up and go, this elixir, it cures impotence and it cures baldness and it cures gout and it cures snoring. Just take it, and some con man made it 5 minutes ago with turpentine and some old whiskey. It's got to kick him. By the time he's collected his money and is off to the next town, that night people are going blind and people are vomiting uncontrollably. People are dying from the poison, and he's done already moved on. And that's why I feel like they've managed to make the system that everybody's always smiling in your face and selling you some con. And when you try and get satisfaction from being wrong, they demonize you. The only people who go to jail in America are people who make less than 150 grand. I would actually say 110 grand a year. Like the people, all the famous people you know have money in these weird things where no one pays taxes. Man, it's just, and then you're supposed to risk your life and go die in a foreign country for them. The American way, the soul of America. What exactly is the soul of America? Dying in Afghanistan. So you, and look, let's talk about let's not talk about Afghanistan. This country is about to dump 6.2 million people on the street. No. I'm sorry, not 6.2 million people. This eviction moratorium, they're about to dump 6.2 renters, units of people who live in. So that might be you and your 5 kids. So it's going to be way more than 6.2 million people. I'm just kind of like, what? And when they fall out of the middle class, you'll just say they should have worked. Not you. I keep saying you, but they will say those people should have worked more. They should have went to college. Should have paid for this. But nobody wants to work in McDonald's for 40 years, right? This is what it is. People are leaving these low-wage jobs. Some of them maybe trying to go back to school. Maybe this coronavirus thing was, and you know, people come in with their shitty attitudes from having to deal with their shitty boss, and then they give their shitty. People piss downhill in America. I really need to clean up my language, but that's what really happens, right? People, I used to see this in police department. Like, so the captain is pissed off. He takes on the lieutenants, who take it out on the sergeants, who fucking take it out on the beat cop. Then the beat cops fucks with you, right? I've seen it work that way before. I've seen people come in angry at their wives and go down patrol and be cruel and dark to fucking people on the street. Like, you know, I've also seen some cops get their comeuppance, right? Lose everything they worked for. They all don't get protected. They all don't know people. I just don't see why they don't get rid of more of those people. I'm pro cop, but come on, man. I don't want you harassing my nephew as he goes from point A to point B. I definitely don't want you fucking killing him. I don't want you grabbing my lady as she goes from point A to point B, as we just saw. Like I'm telling you, man, the eviction moratorium. Man, my spelling is atrocious. Sharp, rapid increase in evictions as moratorium and landlords owed billions. So you gave $1 trillion to the Taliban. Okay, I'm really interested to see how this works out in the midterms. I guess we're doing politics from here on out, guys. I mean, I was trying to get away from it. Wow, look at this image. This image is not awesome. Oh, wait a minute. And there you go, slightly better. A slight reset. Yeah, man. Summons lawmakers to new session for 6 million people. Look, and they're usually in the major cities, right? All these people. I mean, they're all over the country, but a lot of people are in major cities. You know what's going to happen when you're rental? They've I don't, man. They've so gutted this system and linked it toward the rich and the morally repugnant. As long as they have money, they will make. I've said it before. America will sell you parade babies in a can. I'm a victim of circumstance. Central Georgia woman evicted after federal eviction moratorium ends. I'm a victim of circumstance. You know what a victim of circumstance is? It's when you're barely holding on. You're barely getting by. You're not robbing, cheating, or stealing from anybody. You're keeping the faith in your belief, but then a pandemic comes and eats up your savings and knocks you and you lose your job. And then you're that 1 or 2 steps before. You know how you think about it as an escalator with no floor. So once you hit the last rung, you just fall into the abyss. There's no way to get back on that escalator. And this is what's happening, right? The escalator, they were barely keeping on. Then all of a sudden, the escalator began to speed up and get rid of them, right? This is what this is. And whose fault is it? Because they didn't go to college 15 years ago? Could they even? America has been rigged for a long time now. With eviction moratorium gone, 3.5 million U.S. households could lose their home. I've heard 6, but 3.5, she says. That is a lot of freaking people. I'm a victim of circumstance, boss. I mean, aren't we all? Goldman Sachs estimates 750,000 households face eviction after more. Really? Roughly 2.5 to 3.5? Yeah. And meanwhile, all these people are telling you what they should do for all these Afghanis who are coming here. You won't do shit for the American people who've been here. Why should I trust you? The only time I hear the American press seriously interested in something is when someone assaults or kills a journalist. And then they're like, oh, you know, their journalists are the first line of truth between you and the... And yeah, you're self-serving by telling me that you want journalists to be taken care of. You're a journalist. It's like cops saying we should be able to try cops with other cops. You know, it's self-serving. But you've been lying to people for a long time, and people know it. Program helps renters landlord as a eviction moratorium. And what program? Here's the thing. They gave all this money so this wouldn't happen. And the money never went out. So what do you think? The money's on someone's mattress? It's in an account. It's billions of dollars. It's making money hand over fist on interest, right? And this is my thing. I could be wrong. But if I had a bank and I had 10 people in it, and everybody's, I handled their money. I gave them, they pulled it out, and I was getting interest off holding their money. Then the government came, and their interest made me $1,000 a month, let's say, right? Because I have 10 people. And the government came through and was like, hey, the government then gave me $50,000 a month that I was supposed to disperse. Now I'm holding on to this money that I'm supposed to disperse and getting interest off of that, which has got to be, let's say, the interest on that is $5,000 a month. I think that's what it is. The longer you hold on to money, you can say, well, I'm not spending it. No, we still have it. But you know the interest on $1 billion is? Let's look that shit up. This is what the internet is for, baby. Interest on $1 billion. How much interest does $1 billion earn a year? Come on, just give me the fatness of it. It's important to remember there are many factors when you think about interest in invest your money, blah, 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 blah. You know, you didn't answer the question. How much interest? No, here we go. Using simple interest calculation at 1%, you could have 10 million paid on an annual basis. So if you had $1 billion, you could never touch it. I mean, you could live off $10 million a year. But let's make it even more interesting by looking at 1 trillion. That's 1,000 times more. At your own interest rate, will cost 10 billion a year. 10 million. Yeah. And they gave them $75 billion. So that's $70 million a year that they're making by having it just sit there. Eviction moratorium. How much was set aside for the Lord? Really? Was set aside for the eviction moratorium. Supreme Court ends Biden eviction moratorium. Supreme Court ended Biden. Blah, 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 blah. Supreme Court blocks Biden eviction moratorium. Law extend rent memo until January 2022. They still got to go someplace. This just gives you enough time to fucking pack your shit and get out. And hiring a truck takes. I mean, this is people just get boxed in and they can't get out. Eviction about to restart as tenants wait. But they gave them all this money. Congress failed to extend national eviction moratorium. Supreme Court ends Biden eviction. Federal rent moratorium ends. The federal eviction moratorium is over. Why tenants are still struggling despite the $46 billion in rental relief. So where is this $46 billion to help these 6 million people? That is the question. It's sitting in a bank, and we just looked up. It's 10 billion, right? It's 10 million per billion. So this 46 billion would be $40 million that is just falls into your lap. I think the greedy and the people who have this, who are telling you have 3 and 4 houses, it's just everybody wants new politicians, and this is why AOC got in there, but now they're trying to stop the governor of Buffalo from getting in, and they stopped Nina Turner, right, from getting in. Clyburn and talking, man. Look, the days of you picking who you want to represent you are over. Now the political parties pick who they want among them, because they know, man, you need a whole new bunch of people to run your government. Like I said, as a black guy who voted for, I didn't vote for Biden, but how if you can't stop the cops from killing me, from walking from point A to point B, then you are useless, because you haven't stopped the banks from preying on me, the credit card companies from preying on me. So what should I do? And when it all comes down, other people in the Democratic Party blame me. They target me. They point their fingers at me because it's a useful thing. Look, I've often said, I looked up this thing today. Here's another thing I looked up. Afghan people are like, they want, not Afghan people. They want representation on television. Middle Eastern people want. Hold on. Oh man. Good Lord, that is not how you spell that. Representation. All right. Ongoing problem Middle Eastern representation. It's time to talk Arab Middle East. This is movie in film, right? This was a couple of days ago. Muslim stereotypes having film, new fellowship. My whole thing is this: if America had fixed, I can't find it. Maybe so. It's in my saved. If America had dealt with black life, black folk in the 1800s with the Freedmen Bureau, you wouldn't have people coming here from foreign lands going, "We're going to set up our own little thing because we don't feel like we get representation." That, in my opinion, is called the fifth column. And if you're going to set up all this for representation, you could have done it where you came from. But if you did it where you came from, they'd cut your head off, right? It really is at this point just goofiness of what is allowed in America, while the people in the top keep their hand in the treasury and don't look up to see what the hell is going on around here. I've been doing this for a while now. I encourage everybody to run or seriously consider running, because you might be it. But I think we have too many lawyers in Congress, and law is a hack for governments, right? They know shit that you don't know. So and when sinister people all become lawyers and go into government, I mean, what are you going to do? What can you say about it? What are you going to do about it? Who are you going to go to? Other lawyers? And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying all lawyers. Look, I get into these conversations because I don't talk precise enough. But I back that up by having spoken about a lot of stuff on streams. So if someone go, "Hey, you say this," I can point to another stream where I was like, "Well, I sort of flushed out in another stream." So my thing is this: I'm not hating on lawyers. I always wanted to be a lawyer. I think it's the founders were lawyers, but I think lawyers keep the criminal justice system crooked, and other honest lawyers don't say shit. And when you get there, you don't want an honest lawyer in your mix. You know what I'm saying? People going to jail for 30 years. That's outrageous. The judge, the prosecutor, and the defense attorney, all lawyers should be looked into. Really, he looks in. I'm just trying to find it, and some of this goofy stuff is coming up. All this stuff that they only understand, right? And then they put some in this well, not unless let's say they put some innocent guy in jail for 30 years. Someone should ask them questions, and no one does. That's the arrogance of it. All right, so we started this thing late by 10 minutes, and then we started the ticker at 7, a half hour past normal, and we've been streaming for an hour and 40 minutes, which is good. I want to really find this last thing because I just thought it was emblematic of the problem. As soon as people land here, they start packs and all this other shit, and you're just kind of like, you just got here. How was this not throwing a wrench in the way things work? But I'm one of those people who, man. Where is this thing? Leaded gasoline use in vehicles has not officially ended. Yeah, we covered that yesterday. And why it was around for so long. After 7 grueling months on the front line. Look, you know what? I don't talk about COVID. DeSantis is defunding 2 school districts for requiring masks. He's an idiot. He should be removed. It's a pandemic, and you're insisting that people not wear masks. First of all, how's it your right to tell me if I want to wear a mask that I can't? And this is what I'm talking about. He's just not serious. You should be able to pull him because his judgment is bad. Fire Canadian. I cannot believe that this is. I can't find this again. Okay. Arrest warrant is issued from a man accused of confronting NBC Shaquille Bruce on live TV. Yeah, I was wondering what that was about. Because after I was reading the story, I was like, what happened to the guy? Did they get... And they never tell you. U.S. denies military dogs were abandoned in the cages at Kabul airport. Well, that's easy because there'll be a picture, right? Someone will absolutely tweet out a picture of these abandoned dogs. Here's another thing that happened today. We're going to end this stream. They gave the 2 people that they executed in the 50s posthumous pardons. But if you're saying that they actually didn't do it and the whole thing was racist, now there is absolute proof that the justice system has been using the death penalty for racist reasons and why it should be made to go away. I don't know. What are you going to say now? Oh, no. We're going to keep the death because we're infallible. So then all the people who put people in, like I said, in jail for 30 years and all this stuff, you really need to go talk to those lawyers. They're going to put a gas pipeline through Brooklyn and get rid of all these people. Oh, so ridiculous. I cannot find this thing. I'm going to have to come up with a way to remember some of these things. But yeah, I mean, we should all have representation. But as soon as you land here, you become an outside. You become, like I said, you become this. And they just brought 60,000 Afghans here. All right. They brought 120 Cubans here in Florida in 78, I want to say, and 80,000 Haitians. But Haitians, they got no love from this country, right? But the Cubans, they own Miami. Not bad for 50 years of being here. So yeah, I mean, people are trained to not be all in for everybody. They're just all in for their own group. Taliban says U.S. drone strike in Kabul also kills civilian Chinese state TV. Yeah, the Chinese just can't wait to tell us how shitty we are. As we do business with them. Everything in your house is made in China. I mean, a lot of people in Congress should just be arrested for that. I cannot find this thing. It's making me crazy. British ex-Marine escaped Afghanistan with 200 animals but left Afghan staff behind. If that's true, that is fucked. Elizabeth Holmes promises miracle. Yeah. I mean, she was arrested 10 years ago. Marine officer relieved of command. Yep. He's going to run for Congress and win. I cannot find this, man. I just rolled my eyes at it. It's like all these people come here from China and demand you do something about China. It's like, no, go to China and demand they do something about China. It's like all these people fighting these, they're not here to be here. They're here to be safe. Video release, Pelicans Jackson say, I can't breathe during arrest. Look, everyone is taping you when you arrest somebody. I cannot find this thing. Yeah, well, all right. I guess that's that. But yeah, representation in Hollywood. Here's the problem. Representation is essentially going, I want you to hire more people who look like me. Okay, but real representation is writing the stuff, shooting the stuff, editing the stuff, and owning the company. That's representation. It's not, you're essentially arguing to be hired by people who have been doing it wrong forever or doing it the way it benefits them and no one else forever. Yeah, I can't believe I can't find this thing. Let's put representation in film and then hit the news. What TV film writes about representation? Asian American rally contradiction. Mexican American representation at Border Town. Candyman is not a good film. Most horror movies are not good films. So I think it's the Asian community, Asian Americans rally in support of. Here's the thing: this Shang-Chi thing. I should start my movie podcast again. It's not going to do well. So many people don't care. Here's the thing about Black people: we have been so integrally woven into this fabric, for good or bad, that everybody knows us and what we do. People know a couple of things about Chinese culture in America, right? The food, and those cool martial arts movies that they used to show at Saturday in New York on Saturdays. We know that. All this other stuff is flukes, right? Joy Luck Club, you know, it's no one. If there are no Chinese rappers because no one bought it, there was a dude who was good. I think his name was Jin, but then he moved to China because he had all this rap cred and he became a millionaire there. But he was like, oh, the Chinese dude who raps. But he was, you know, he was like Eminem before Eminem. But no record label would put him on and no Black dudes wanted to listen to him. Like the culture. He wasn't so good that the culture was like, yeah, we want him in here. This is sort of the same thing with like this movie. I'm pretty sure it'll get a following, but I don't think there's enough people to drive its interest. And don't get me wrong, nobody's saying anybody's a bad actor or the film's bad or they put together bad. But every time something doesn't pan out, they blame the populace. Like, how dare you? You are racist because you didn't go see this movie that nobody was interested in. It's sort of the same thing that happened with I said this a couple of weeks too. The same thing that happened with what's her name? I'm about to say Sahara. It's not Sahara. Oh, good Lord. Black Widow. What is her name? Scarlett Johansson, right? Savannah, Scarlett. See, Savannah is a southern place, and Scarlett is a southern name. But here's the thing about, I said this movie was going to suck. Not really suck, but wasn't going to do a lot of business. What's the business? What's the box office for Black Widow? Just because Scarlett Johansson, and don't get me wrong, she's very pretty, she's very attractive, she can act, she's done some really good work in dramas and stuff, but no one goes to movies to see her, right? Just like no one goes to movies to see Jennifer Aniston. She's made a lot of movies, she's good in stuff, but people don't have a following where people go, oh man, I gotta see her in this. And I don't know very many women who do. Jennifer, not Lopez, oh my God, what Julia Roberts? She had a huge following. She could carry a movie, right? And Pretty Woman, she carried that movie, not Richard Gere. And like I said, people like Scarlett Johansson, but all her blockbusters, all her movies have never been blockbusters. She's carried movies. They've spent a lot of money on that Japanese movie. Yeah, it was meh, right? It's not that she, like I said, she's good in dramas and stuff, but some people follow you for it, you hit the zeitgeist or some reason. Just like who's the Spanish lady from Mexico? She's been in a ton of movies too, but she doesn't carry a movie either. My favorite, Rosario Dawson. She's in a lot of stuff, but she doesn't carry a movie either. And it's hard to. Like, there's a lot of famous ladies who can carry movies, and when they do, they're highbrow dramas for Academy Awards and stuff, and she can't act. But the zany, stupid, goofy stuff, if people want to shut their brain off and see, like, this is supposed to be, what's the box office? Sometimes people are just going, meh. And then you can't blame them. 200 million box office, 371. So it made its money back. Is it a hit or a flop? Disney highly anticipated Marvel Black suffered a brutal blow at the box office this weekend, falling 67% compared to the opening weekend of Dashing Hope that the company for a July hit. So now it's making money because it's been out there a while and people are just slowly seeing it. You know, when I saw Titanic, it had been out for like 8 months. The little movie that could. And then I saw it and I was just kind of like, oh my, because people just kept, it started out low and then and then it got to this point where everybody was like, you got to see this movie, right? But that's the weirdness of Titanic. This movie made its money back, but people are like, meh, 67% drop off. And I don't blame her for that, right? But at the same time, you can't blame the people who pay for movies because, you know, they didn't like or rush to this movie like it was the Avengers, right? And let's be clear, when the first Iron Man came out, it was a giant blockbuster, but people really didn't see it for Downey Jr. anyway. They kind of saw it because we were all comic book heads and we're going, how are they going to pull this off? And then people were saying, oh, he was really good in that, right? And then since then, he did movies that nobody saw, the Sherlock Holmes movies and the Dr. Dolittle movies that was straight trash, right? Everybody saw Captain Marvel movie, let's see this. And then she did some movies straight to Netflix and people just kind of like, eh. You can't blame people. Some people, like there was a window where Brendan Fraser, everybody saw his movies, right? In the 80s, there was this thing, and it happened with women too. But like I would put Cameron Diaz in it too. She hasn't had serious turns, but her slapstick comedies, people didn't go out because she was in it. She was an Andre. Oh man, who's that pretty girl? I mean, when I saw this, I was just kind of like, meh. And there's a lot of it. There's a lot of movies I'm like, meh, about. Like this Green Lantern movie coming up. I'm like, meh. It's a dude with a bow and arrow. I don't get it. Here's the thing about that, a little comic book history. When I got into comic books, I was a wee lad, like most of us were. And the people making the comic books were in their 40s and 50s. And the people who owned these places were old, their 60s. And they were telling you, well, my history of good stuff was swashbuckling. So you had a couple of guys, you had the Black Knight as a character, and people were like, Black Knight, never got into him. But you also had superhero with like bow and arrows, right? Because people grew up on Robin Hood and Errol Flynn. And it's sort of still around. And it's still around because he became part of the Justice League, a character that they kept around, yet another billionaire, right? Batman started out, he didn't have any special anything. He was really smart and he could fight really well. And by the end of it, he's damn near a superhero, right? There's nothing he can't solve. He's beating up Superman, for God's sake. Like, so it gets over its skis really fast. Wonder Woman at one point couldn't fly. She needed a jet. Now she can fly. Great. These whole things build up. You know, you love them as a kid. Yeah, I guess I am, Will. And, you know, so you follow these things as a kid and things ebb and flow. And then they become movies and you're really curious to see them. And the people who are making sci-fi now, what I call the new fairy tales, grew up watching this stuff, right? They have a head full of this stuff. That's pretty good. But none of their heroes were Errol Flynn or swashbucklers. You have to be a real movie guy to like that. So I think the age of comic books are going to be around for like 100 years because kids growing up watching them now, they have comic books for like little kids, like 5-year-old, where there's really no violence and you just get familiar with, oh, he can fly and he's got a kid. When I was a kid, Superman was in reruns and kids would jump out the windows because they saw it. And then it led to a thing where you had to put gates on all the windows in New York. So people do what they see on TV. I've always said this, and it's one of the reasons why I say that what hip hop. So you see somebody twerking, all of a sudden everybody, all these 12-year-olds, 13, 15-year-olds across the country are twerking, and you're like, what the fuck? It is what it is, right? Everything's a gun movie, a gunman, a bad guy. People watch it and get paranoid because they don't want to be the bad guy, and people want to be the bad guy. Take lessons from this stupid thing that they saw on TV that don't work in reality. It's like when you go to buy a car, all the car commercials, these cars are zipping around roads and driving really fast, and at the bottom it says, closed course. No one shows you somebody driving at the speed limit and then properly parking and putting metering. Buy this car. You'd be like, not even trying it, right? So you buy the zest of what they're showing you. And back to the topic of this. Scarlett Johansson and this movie, she's mad that it would have made more money. I don't really know about that. You don't really have a track record of carrying films. And people wanted one, so they gave them one, but this wasn't high in the chamber. I think they moved it up in the chamber a lot. And this could have been, this movie, Black Widow, could have been a television series, but she's a movie star. She doesn't want to take like Charlene Woodley, take a step down to movie TV. That's why when they wanted to make those convergence movies, and the first one did well, the second one did a whole lot worse. They're like, maybe the last one will be a straight to DVD, straight to cable. She was like, nope, I'm out. It's supposed to be movies, supposed to be released in theaters. I'm a big movie star. I'm out. I mean, she hasn't done much since then, right? It reminds me of the guy who left Married with Children. It had ran for 7 years and he left, and then it ran for an additional 15, not 15, but like an additional 10, right? So half of its length has got him on it, and then the other half, it doesn't have him on it, and the other half is longer. People are like, who is Steve? Steve and Marcy, right? The show ran for like 15 seasons or some shit. No disrespect to her, but yeah, and just like no disrespect to this Shang-Chi cast. Yeah, I mean, when these things were on Netflix and they had Power Fist, and people were like, that's racial appropriation. I was like, see, this is people who don't know what they're talking about, trying to get somebody hired for something. In the comic books, the character was a white millionaire who was kidnapped and lived and learned this thing. No, he wasn't kidnapped. He was in a plane crash and learned this thing from monks where he landed. So that goes with the story, right? I can't have a story of Shaft and then recast it because Shaft is now like this blonde haired guy living. And you're like, what? That doesn't make any sense. So, and it's the same thing. So to recast him as an Asian guy who knows martial arts is not interesting, because the thing was it was a fish out of water story and then a fish put back in the bowl story, right? It's, man, you like what you like. Don't have people browbeat you to like what they expect you to like. A lot of this cancel stuff, like I said, comes from super PACs and these others to gin stuff up on the internet. A lot of it isn't real. And a lot of these people say stupid stuff. That's why I always check the comments. Because people say stupid stuff in the comments, you go, yeah, any moron can have an internet connection. So what? You could get me on TV. I know a lot about a lot, and I can talk to you about a lot. And I would like to think an intelligent way. But, you can get me also on TV and have me talk something that I know nothing about, like finance or love or, the Mars moon lander mission. I know enough to say that the moon is not flat. Man, this I'm always having trouble with the imagery on this thing. I know enough to say that the moon is not flat. I know enough to talk about movies and movie history and like John Wayne and Cecil B. DeMille. I love movies. I can go back. I can't talk to you about horror movies. I don't know any horror movies. I can talk to you about music. I may not know who the producer was, but I know a lot about music and when music came around. I couldn't talk to you about classical music, so I'm in my lane. Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons. Didn't they just have a thing that they canceled? Wow. Kiss. Let's look up Kiss and then look up news. Kiss postpones Milwaukee concert in 3 shows. Let's put this up. Oh, did I cut this off? I did cut it off. Okay. Kiss postpones Milwaukee concert 3 more shows after Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley test positive. Somebody close to you. This wasn't man. One of the grips got it up. This was somebody close to you because they were close enough to both of you. Publicist, agent, someone's wife. She's in that circle. Someone's girlfriend. I'm pretty sure it wasn't the caterer. Gene Simmons test positive. Kiss postpones Wednesday night concert. Man, it's raging. The people are still having concerts because these venues want their money. These schools want money for the kids in school. Nobody's sitting here going, "No, take your time. Let's get over this." Because people, not just you who work at McDonald's, but people who own the venue and these insurance companies who took out insurance that the show will go on now have to pay out all these places where no shows are going on. They want, and this is what happens. So one teacher took off her mask and gave it to a whole class. And again, like I said, I don't talk COVID because YouTube smashes everybody who isn't on freaking CNN or something. But I will say this, it's a pandemic. I mean, the Black Plague was around Europe for 6 years. We've only been through this for a year and a half. Am I the only one who's paranoid about it? Prince and the Revolution, Kiss, I want to mention, yeah. A lot of stuff is old. Like I watched this movie, and we used to do this, get a bottle of something, take a shot, especially whiskey, because whiskey kills germs, take a shot, pass it around. I would never do that now, right? People blow, if I go to someone playing a trumpet, if I'm listening, going to your concert, you better have a guitar and not be breathing on me. Yeah, is it just a nasty flu? Yeah, it's fairly nasty. So yeah, I don't know. We don't talk about it here because I already got 2 whips for disinformation. One when I just made a joke, and the other one when someone else says something on my stream. I was like, you can't say anything, and they don't. Their appeals process is but. So yeah, it is what they say it is as far as I'm concerned. Wow, that is wild. That is crazy. All these concerts being canceled. Go figure. And it's Kiss. They've been rocking out for 30 years. I think the strangers are cute. Ugh. It's like, yeah, you don't have no room in the world for that guy. Banger fans get electrifying Kiss goodbye. 1 week ago, 12 hours ago, 4 days ago. Yeah, all right. Wow. Who has COVID? We will not be making comments about this because, again, we do not want to get yet another rip. What to do if you're potentially exposed? All celebrities who tested positive. Do we even want to? How old is this? There's no date on this. April 22nd. All right, that's a little too. December 29th, 2020. How long are you contagious for corona? I'm not even going to look it up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are here every day, 6:30, doing 20 minutes or so is a magic word here. We talk about everything. I'm going to try. I was trying to have a call-in line, but I may do that next month. Like I said, I've been running something going on in my own personal, and it is what it is. Hurricane veteran was stunned by Ida. You were stunned by it? New York weather, flash flood watch for New York. Yeah, there's a storm coming to New York. Yeah, it's gonna hit. It's gonna miss all this. It's gonna hit right here, and it's gonna go up to Boston and Maine. It's silly. Well, first of all, this is the remains of the storm that hit. Yes, it hit Louisiana. 1 a.m. Thursday. So it's gonna hit, by the time it hits Friday, it's gonna be Friday, 1 in the afternoon. So watch that one. And then they don't have any information. Hold it, do they? Did I speak too soon? I just saw it. This is the one I'm talking about. This is the one that's coming Friday.
New customers get our best deal.
Ugh, stop it. What is going on here, people? Is it Henry? August 23rd, all about Henry at Storm Wayne's. Blah, 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 blah. So let's look at it. Is Henry. Yeah, so this is the storm I was talking about. So let's give you a picture of this. Let's open this. Open image in a new tab. Where is that? So after the one that we just showed you, that's going to hit you Thursday at 1 p.m., Friday at 1 p.m. This one's coming Tuesday. So this is going to miss all of it. Look at this. Ugh. This is going to miss all of us. Good Lord, this is bad. Let's undo it. Let's see what happens if we redo it. Yeah, I mean, this is the problem with this restreamer. Why in the world? All right, let's do this. Let's get rid of me. Ah, there it is. Perfect. Ah, awesome. Thank you. Restream gods. So after Saturday, Friday, right? You've got Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday before this one, which oddly enough misses the whole East Coast and is going to come in hot. Now, luckily, the water begins to, cold water kills a hurricane. We all know this from 7th grade earth science, right? So it's going to be warm and fast moving through here. By the time it gets Delaware, New Jersey area, it's going to begin to slow down. It's going to miss all this land mass. It's actually even going to miss Long Island, you lucky bastards. And it's going to hit Maine. By the time it makes landfall, it's going to be up here, which is super duper rare from what I understand. But it's also, even though the Hurricane Miles wind will be lower, we're hoping it's going to be like a 1 or a 2, not a 5. These guys don't get hurricanes like that. By the time it's up here, it's just rainstorms or it's snow. So I worry about these people. I'm surprised it's missing all of New York. New York City proper is going to be cleanly missed. But on the islands, like it's Jamaica, on the end of the island and Rhode Island over here, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine, Connecticut, yeah, Massachusetts, some, but New Hampshire and Maine never get hurricanes. But this Nova Scotia, they never get hurricanes. And it's going to miss all of this and just hit you, man. Wow. We have fucked up here's a better picture. We have fucked up our terrarium. We really have. We really have. How are you going to undo? Can we make this bigger? Let's go here. How are you going to undo what you've done to the look? And this is going to be hot from the last hurricane. Good Lord. And it's barely going to miss. And it's just going to clog Portland, Maine. And wow. Yeah. I'm wishing these people well and that they take heart. Yeah, well, that's interesting to say. Don't let the virus control you. Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's a pandemic. You have to take some precautions and look after yourself in it. You do, because it's not made up. People are. I'm not going to talk about it, but people are actually dying, and we want to weather whatever this nonsense is. Tropical Storm Henry. Wow, man, and hurricane season is not over until the 1st. The 1st. November 1st, November 31st. We looked this up. There you go. And we can put my music sheet away. So wow, we've been streaming for a good 2 hours and 10 minutes. We're here every night. Remember that. Please like and subscribe. Come on through for some of these conversations. We run through all the stuff that we common people. Oh, have a good night, William. Thanks for coming through, man. I look forward to having you in these chats, man. You super help me out. And I hope you have a good night. And I hope I see you tomorrow. We're gonna end this one here. I want to thank everybody for coming through. Your time is valuable. I absolutely know that. I'm absolutely respectful of the time you spent with me here, whether it was the whole thing or 5 minutes. You could get your internet conversation from a multitude of places. So I'm glad that you spent a few minutes here with me. I want you to be careful in this weird world that we're in right now. I want you to survive the problems. And I want you to be one of those people talking about, oh man, when I was back in the day, and this is how I did it. And I want people to be telling you, oh man, he's got these old stories, right? Put a little comedy in it. Man, people like to laugh. But I want you to be beyond it in the future, looking back at it like it was a thing. But I want you to get through it at first, right? I will be here tomorrow, Wednesday, hump day, 6:30 as always. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sundays at 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m., but 6:30 Monday through Saturday. Come and hang out with us. We're trying to make this thing professional, and I think we're slowly doing that. Even as stuff goes wrong. What are you going to do, right? It's life, and things go wrong in life. Take care of yourself, right? If you don't look out for you, who will look out for you, right? I wish you well, but I can't look out for you. And I do. I wish you well from this part of my confines in this part of the galaxy. I will see you tomorrow, where the topics will be new, and we will talk about the latest nonsense. Okay, take care of yourself. Excuse me. Take care of yourself, and don't be a stranger. So, peace.